Well, everyone, thank you for stopping by, checking out our wow, I got tongue tied on that. Our live today, Shop Talk Live. My name is Rick Ramirez, also known as Rick's 2 Cents, along with my fellow co-host Steve, and Steve Makes Everything.
Hi, all.
George is a guest. We'll do a special introductory after we introduce the group. Andy from Andy Birds.
What's up, everyone?
Sorry. And Roger from Roger Shop.
Howdy, howdy.
George, the special guest we invited to the live today. George, you want to give yourself an introduction to the live, to the channel?
Sure. I'm George Kenner. I am a YouTuber. I have about 12,000, almost 12,000 subscribers now. I do woodworking projects and reviews on tools, and I also do the same thing for lasers.
One thing I think to take note on you is that you have quite a following on Facebook from your Facebook groups. So I did see that. That's how I actually first came across from you. So yeah.
Yeah, it's my Facebook fans are very dedicated, loyal fans. YouTube, not quite as much, but my Facebook group's not quite as big. But it is what it is. I have a great time with all my Facebook people. I do small giveaways and stuff like that. I keep people engaged. Like today, I posted some stuff and told everybody to go get their blanks. There are a lot of, small business people that follow me, and we do suggestions, things like that. We all have a good time in there.
So speaking of giveaways, Clayton from I was saying is aloha from Hawaii. Hello, everyone. Smash that like button. He is our last winner of the laser. And I don't know if anyone has got a chance or follows him, but he has been making some pretty awesome stuff with that laser. So very, very cool. Yeah, Clayton, if you wouldn't mind, email me something. I'll share with the group some of the pictures. But he's been doing pretty good with that laser.
He was making awesome stuff before that.
Yeah.
No, it's all the laser.
One of the things we always say, having one is having none, right? So he's going to town,
That's cool.
Making all kinds of stuff.
Hey, I thought it was like once you just got the machine, you just automatically made cool stuff.
Yeah, it just falls out the box when you open it.
Yeah, it's all the machine, right? Like no talent at all. Just
no skill required.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that comment a lot.
So last week Steve mentioned that he had some constructive criticism, saying that does someone want to write the script for our live? And I have to say that this week someone said the same thing to me. So I just want to reiterate, because I mentioned it last week. Shop Talk Live is literally Shop Talk Live questions and answers. There's 5 guys in the group right now. We all have collaboratively a whole lot of different skill sets. And the idea of this live is if you have questions, whether it be a 3D printer, whether it be a CNC, whether it be a laser, whether it be YouTube, any type of entrepreneur questions, we are business owner operators and have plenty of experiences. And, that's what we're here for. So there is no script. We may have an idea of something we want to bring up, but really the live really depends on the audience. So ask. Chris said, good day from down under.
Perth.
I picture this like we're just all hanging out in one of our shops and just talking about whatever we have going on. I know we're doing this virtually, but that's what I picture is like we're just all hanging out in a shop and just talking shop.
So someday we can all get Hawaiian shirts and we can go to Roger's place.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm down with that.
I
think it definitely changed a bit when we changed from Fridays to Wednesdays. Because Wednesdays, I used to say in the beginning of the video, happy hump day. Because it's kind of like, and I have to honestly say, after the lives, I kind of feel like it is a little bit of stress. I don't know you guys, have never personally met. I feel like I know you enough, like we can shoot the shit. And there's some people that don't come for questions at all. They just come to shoot the shit, like you said. Andy, just the same,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, anyway. That's why they're one of the reasons.
Yeah, so let us know in the comments below where you're actually joining us from. We appreciate to let to know. But I have a question for you guys. So I've been noticing a ton in my area, especially being marketed on Facebook, And we always talk about marketplaces where like they have tools and things that you can use. But now I'm seeing they're calling marketplace, excuse me, where you can actually sell your stuff there. And I see all these little pop-up shops selling, and it's everything in the store. Nothing is theirs. It's all people who sell stuff like we make, selling it there, and they're taking a cut off the top. Have you guys been seeing that in your guys' area at all?
Actually, a friend of mine is actively trying to get a shop like that up and running. Like, and I mean, it's taking off without him even really trying. So.
In Facebook Marketplace?
No. He's going to drive his own site.
Oh.
It's an actual storefront brick and mortar location that's selling online, selling in the store, all different kinds of sellers, items. Everything that they're selling is not actually theirs. It's all different people's that they're selling it for with an agreed upon, commission rate or whatever.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, it's pretty. See it in all the shapes and sizes and forms. It's kind of like reminds me like a boutique. They're sourcing local, handmade type stuff. Kind of like that, right?
Right.
But I've also heard it, like just selling it from our side, like selling like commission pieces. I know a pottery artist that does a lot of that. Whether they agree on the store, the boutique stocks it on their shelves, and then whenever it sells, they get a cut. So yeah.
The other thing I noticed like crazy is that these epoxy like everything, right? Epoxy everything, and I think it used to be more of like a skilled trade or a skilled set because they would make their own molds, right? And they would do all this stuff. And now you have a good like 5 or 6 pretty reputable companies that sell these molds that are like those silicones. But I think what it is like the market's getting saturated because the item is not unique. Like if you made this charcuterie board with this whatever, and you made it was kind of one off because you maybe cut it with something, but you did it by hand to kind of finish it and look how you made it. But when you're buying literally a template that you're putting a piece of wood in and pouring epoxy around it, it's identical. So it's kind of not being so unique.
I've done some epoxy pieces lately. I did one that was some olive wood that I had purchased is firewood from Sonora. Sonoran, the desert area that I'm in is called the Sonoran Desert area. Well, it came out so nice. Somebody offered me $1,500 for the serving platter. And It was so nice that I wouldn't let it leave the family, and I gave it to my sister for her birthday. I've also done some where I make multiple layer pours and pour in off of it. And I've been using gold mica quite a bit, and they're stunning. I mean, I have people lined up to get their hands on them. So some of it is still relatively unique, but I've seen some of the same thing. In fact, I started to do some research on epoxies, and there was a time when I worked for the government. If you wanted to bring a chemical onto our facility, you had to have, in those days, we called it the manufacturer safety data sheet. Well, I started doing it for epoxy. I found one company where it was made in, I want to say, Ohio, exported to Canada, and then resold in the United States. So there's quite a bit of profit in epoxy. And I've been seeing the price creep down more and more all the time. I went and bought one of the cheapest that I could get off of Amazon, and it's called Magic Resin. It's phenomenal stuff. I've done all of my pieces with it. I found no reason to go out. I see no reason to go out and spend the additional money. All epoxies have the potential to yellow, no matter how expensive it is. So if you're not going to color the epoxy, you can plan on a yellow fade over time. If you use a really expensive wood, you probably want to, I have some McCasker ebony that I'm doing up right now, and some of it needs to be filled. I'll do a black epoxy. I'm not going to do clear and have it go milky on me. Just tint it, and you'll be fine. But there was when I found out about McCasker ebony, I went online. I found one table that was done. It was 1 inch thick. The table was $40,000.
Man.
So there's some nice exotic woods that you can get your hands on out there that will do some phenomenal things with epoxy. So
I've never heard of it. I have to check that out. Never heard of that brand.
I don't see it going away, but a lot of this wood, if you've gone back to when we were kids, they would have thrown it away. It would have turned into firewood.
Absolutely.
Now we're basically taking junk wood and saving it. And they're charging us all a premium. And I hope that kind of goes away a little bit.
Yeah. The computer guy, Mike, says, hey, guys, I'm a hobby woodworker, made a few decent pieces over the years, invested in a little shop in my garage. And that's what you're seeing more and more. And by doing that, you have different reasons, right? Are you doing it just as an outlet? Are you doing it as an additional source of income? Are you doing it because you're soon in retirement and you want to be able to, still have something to do? So there's a lot of different reasons why you're do that. But it's not always necessarily a business. But Roger also often says he unexpectedly grew a very successful business, right, Roger? I mean, to put
and things just kind of keep coming, and I don't really advertise it. In fact, a shirt that I made last week, I was at the grocery store, and a bunch of people got a chuckle out of it. Next thing I know, I sold 10 of them.
Hey, King Richard, where are you in Nova Scotia? We must be neighbors. Yeah, I didn't start my business to grow it. And I really turn business away quite often just because I don't want to occupy my life. But for me, it's more of a decompression.
Yeah, Chris said, yep, we're getting a lot of new craft stores here like that popping up here too. They take a percentage up to max amount. Yeah. I just thought it was, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, that's cool. But in my area, I'm not up to like 5. And I'm like, man. But, I would also say, and I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings, is where do you see the fine line is between craftsmanship and crafter, right? I mean, and where do you think that that line in the sand kind of is?
That's an odd question.
Well, so I had a background in jewelry. Is my first career. I was a graduate gemologist and a nationally recognized jeweler. My parents went through some armed robberies in the store. We retired. I became a federal agent. Natural segue. Well, as part of being a gemologist, you really learn how to polish something. Well, I polish wood. I started a very low grade, I started 80, I resurface, I'll go to 120, give it a light hit. Well, I finish at 3,000 grit. No one sees wood finished like mine. Now, you'll get other woodworkers that'll say, hey, look, I'm going to finish the cutting board at 220. I'm going to put my oil and wax on and I'm done. Well, I'll call that commercial. What I do is artistry. So it's, where do you want to stop? But I did a cutting board for my girlfriend. I sanded it it was a pretty good sized board. I had 6 hours of sanding into it. It was glossy before I even put any oil or wax on. You could literally take the wood and turn it up and see a sheen or a reflection in the wood.
So we had a
I thought I was the only one who was neurotic. I sand to 5,000 sometimes.
Yeah. It's like, as long as I'm getting more gloss, I'm still sanding. But
Andy's like, we got 60. We're good. Push that baby.
Wow. Push that thing through. Oh,
just drain it across the floor. That's smooth enough.
We had a discussion about this a couple weeks ago. We said quantity, or there's a fine line between quantity and quality, and then there's also high price ticket items and low price ticket items, right? Yep. And you got to pump them out. If you,
it all has its place. It
right.
just depends what your intention is.
So the computer guy Mike said, I'd love to make a side hustle and start recouping some of the investment, but I'm sure knickknacks is not worth my time. And I would say that no matter what it is that you're making, it's a time worth its investment. And when I'm saying that is because you're learning to use your equipment, right? And every time that I've ever made anything, I'm putting words in your guys' mouth. 6 months to a year later, if I look at that, I'm like, that's a piece of crap. Like, I was so proud of that. You know what I mean? Like, you progress so much that, like, you're like, wow.
Well, your standards grow too, right? So
Right.
there's a fundamental difference between building something functional and building something artistic, though, too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
Like if you build a cutting board, I've built quite a few cutting boards, and the worst thing I can hear from somebody who gets one is, "Oh, this is too nice to use." And I actually gave my sister one, and I said, "I'm going to come and visit you on a regular basis, and I'm going to look for knife marks, and if I don't see any, I'm taking it back."
I made one time, and I was delivering it to one of my friends in Iowa, and I got it all boxed up, and I'm carrying it. It looks like a briefcase, and one of my YouTube followers saw me in the airport in San Diego, and they're like, "Oh man, I so want one of those," because I would share on my Facebook group exactly the process that I go through, and I got some boards out there no one will ever put a knife to.
Nice. And
Yeah, I
probably
would be
said, hey, guys,
disappointed by that. See, I'm not an artist, and I've said that in videos many times. I have no artistic ability. I build things that are functional, and I want people to use them.
And I agree with you and feel the same way. But when somebody grabs one of your boards, they're like, "Oh, I can't cut on this. I'm not going to argue with them. It's theirs. It's their gift."
Empire Laser Creation said, hey guys, first time here from Cynthia, Australia. So more people from Australia in the house. That's crazy. We're growing quite a bit in
because
Australia.
it's early in the morning there, I think.
Right, 12 hours maybe, I think.
Yeah,
10
it's
hours?
pretty much 12. Well, for me, it's 12 hours to China, so it's probably
11,
it might be 12.
10.
Yeah, so I think that's like our 4th or 5th regular from Australia.
Maybe we have to go on a road trip.
Right. First time we're all going to meet is in Australia.
That's far away. So Australia is about as far away as I can get before I start coming back, right? Like it's just it's like literally the opposite side of the planet for me. So
Computer Guy Mike said in Michigan. So Roger and I are in the Chicagoland area, so you're not far from us.
Yeah. I grew up in Michigan. I'm familiar. I make many trips back to Michigan.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you guys, Chris Rem said, do you guys have a favorite wood to work with on the CNC?
Cherry's nice, walnut's nice.
Yeah, for me it's cherry and walnut. Hickory.
Maple. Those are really the 3 woods I work with most of the time. You won't find a piece of oak in my shop.
Not even white oak?
Nope. Oak is for hardwood floors.
You won't find red oak in my shop.
No.
I can't stand red oak, but
I actually that's not true. I do have one piece of white oak. It's about a 1/4 inch thick. And I found it while I've been rearranging my shop as I'm building some shelving and stuff, and I found it and I thought, what is this doing here? Someone must have left it. So I don't know how it got there, but I do have one piece. It's about 3 feet long.
Speaking of, there you go, Steve. Mike, the computer guy, said, my neighbor gave me a tree, so I got to a rough sawmill. I'm milling it down to make hardwood floors. I spent around $20,000 for not hiring the job out, and just basically did decent work with just the hand tools that he had.
I actually built a house years ago, and I did the same thing with cupboards. I bought some cherry from New Hampshire, I think, and like a log truck load of it, and had it cut up at a sawmill and had cupboards made.
You know what wood I really like to use is hickory.
Yeah, I've made cutting boards out of hickory. It makes really nice.
It's very hard. It's kind of like maple, and you can get some patterns in it that are just incredible.
Pretty cool. Those are some of the stuff he's making with the laser.
Oh, this is Clayton stuff.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Nice. Oh, I like the little box.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that box opens and has like a handle and like a monster's eyes. Is that zooming it in?
No.
Or no? Okay, it's only zooming on my screen. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Nice.
Sweet.
Nice work.
Iowa. Yeah, Andy, I've seen you putting more and more shorts out. It's cool.
Yeah, I've been doing that for a while now. All it is repurposing content.
That's exactly what I'm doing. Are you
yeah.
linking? Are you hyperlinking the short to the full?
Yeah.
Yep, I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah. And honestly, what I've seen is, I'm not getting as good of results as if I was creating shorts specifically. I think that's how you get the best results, but that also takes a lot of time. And so it's a trade-off, but I'll have some of them hit, and yeah, just maintaining that presence too, you know?
Yeah. So what I was doing before is our lives. Obviously people jump into lives and they watch us, right? But I don't see, at least on my channel, a lot of people rewatching it after the live has gone live, right? On YouTube, I see quadruple the amount of views rewatched on Facebook. And I think because Facebook is pumping it out. So if I create shorts of our live that's linked to the live, you'll watch our live. It'll go, I'm averaging like, I don't know, 100 to 50 views after it's live, right? But then if I create 5 shorts on it, all of a sudden the views jump up to 500 to 1,000, 2,000 views. And what it is because it's a live question and answers. It's not as if there's a timeline. They know exactly what we're going to talk about. So they have to kind of fast forward through. So the topic interests them.
Since you're posting all these shorts of the live stream, should we expect our royalty check soon?
Yeah, 7 cents. Good luck. Yeah.
We want that split.
If I was breaking it in, I would definitely have that discussion. But
it's not
happening. It's just
not going to be a check.
Our life.
It's going to be a little baggie with like 5 pennies in it. Here's your split, guys.
Here's your cut. Let me see if I can get if I can figure out how to share my screen here. Since we were talking about hickory, that's a board I made a while ago.
Nice.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And green hickory in the center.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, hickory is really nice to work with.
I don't think I've ever worked with hickory.
That's definitely a board not to cut on.
Oh, that one gets cut on a regular basis.
I know, but I'm just telling you, it's definitely nice enough. It doesn't need to be cut on.
Yeah, no kidding. Steve, now I could see people saying like, nah. Nancy said, I started laying because I love creating beautiful things that invoked emotion, other bonuses. I make money sometimes.
There's a correction down below. That's lasering. She started lasering.
Important correction.
Yeah.
Let her slide on that one.
There you go. There's the correction.
I thought she meant like inlaying. That's what
Yeah.
Nancy's a regular, so we don't need Richard sending us hate mail.
Yeah, well, Richard will be mortified.
It's
So what
falling
did you guys
in love
do
with
this week?
What was that, Steve?
I said, what'd you guys do this week?
What did I do this
Well,
week?
you were at the Vectric conference. How was that?
It was really good. That was Friday, Saturday. It was in Austin, Texas. So it was really good. It's about 350 people. And if people aren't familiar, Vectric is CAD CAM software for CNC. And it's called, so Vectric is a British company, and they fly over here every other year and host it's called the Vectric user group meeting. And so it's just basically, and you can buy a ticket. It's like $250, I think, for a ticket. And it's basically a Vectric seminar. And there's other vendors there. They invite their partners. And so there were CNC manufacturers there and things like that. But it's a really cool event. And so a lot of networking. I saw a lot of people that recognized me from the internet, and saw a lot of people from other content creators too. Garrett from IDC was there. A Kyle from Learn Your CNC was there. Do you guys know Kyle?
Is that the guy who puts stickers all over his stuff? When you meet
Oh.
him at trade shows and he puts it in the video?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think I watched some videos. He's got a YouTube channel, right?
He does. He doesn't post on it much. His thing is his whole business is he teaches people how to use Vectric, and he created a course.
Oh, maybe that's where I've seen it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If and this isn't a shame, I guess I'll plug for him. He's just excellent at what he does, and yeah, he's had over like 5,000 students go through his course. It was funny. He actually gave a talk there, and he said, you know, and this is his target audience, but like the 300 people that were in the audience, he asked, you know, who all here has been through my course, and I swear it was half the people.
Wow.
Sweet.
Yeah. So really great guy. So Learn Your CNC is Kyle.
Empire Laser Creations. I think this question probably geared towards you, Andy. I just bought a starter Jimitsu Power XL 4030. Just wondering what everyone's going for: software, Carbine or V-Carve. I'm tending to go towards V-Carve.
I've used V-Carve on that exact machine. You have to find the right post processor. That's all. It's like a generic Gerbil processor.
Yeah, we had that question, I think,
a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I had that question. Yeah, it's a generic post processor, and there's two of them. The GRBL, and you have to. There's a GRBL in inches and a GRBL in millimeters.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's possible. Honestly, so Carbide. I think you're talking about Carbide Create. I don't even know. I have never heard of anybody using Carbide Create with that machine, if that makes sense. V-Carve all the way.
Yeah, I'm pretty much a V-Carve fan.
So everyone is now posting the times where it's at, where they're at. It's kind of funny though, because you're seeing, and you know what? I encourage you guys to do it because it's so funny. All the different time zones, like literally, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. It's 10 a.m. It's, you know, and it's 7 o'clock p.m. for me. So it's just, so thank you. Obviously, we're having a decent following, and it's literally all these different time zones
around the world.
Yes, we are.
So global. I've been this week. I've been playing with my new favorite laser, which is the Com Marker Omni 1 UV laser, and I did things like this. Let's see if I can get it in focus here.
Closer.
I can't. It'll go out of focus.
Just put your hand behind it.
Zoom in. Well, here's a bigger one. This one's on paper.
Oh, here. I'll take us off the screen. Here, hold on.
Okay. So these things are just like ridiculously good. This is stucky. Like this is dithered, and it looks like photos. Like it's like a photograph. Even works on wood. This thing will engrave on anything. And the nice thing is there's no cleanup. It just works on glass, wood, no smoke, no anything.
I just got this.
What's that? Oh, is that the longer box? Yeah, I got that today too.
Yeah, I got mine today.
Wow, their timing is good.
Yeah. So the Nano enclosure. And speaking of Nano has decided November 20th is the day that we're doing the giveaway for the laser. So if you want to be prepared, remember, in order to be eligible to win, you have to be subscribed to all of our channels, have to like at least one video, have to share at least one video, and have to comment at least one video. So if you want to enjoy the live and not miss an opportunity to copy and paste, get it done
to ensure attendance. We should almost leave like a keyword in all of these live streams between now and then, so people have to watch.
Yeah. So yeah, and the other thing is that we're gonna do the giveaway 30 minutes at the end of the video. So you gotta stay the whole live. You have to be present to win. So the manufacturer is actually going to attend. I'm not sure how long they're going to stay, but they said they'll guarantee us at least 30 minutes. They'll be available. Obviously, because they're on like a 13-hour difference. Otherwise, it doesn't make,
Yeah.
So they will have someone who speaks English, Chinese, and Spanish. So if anyone would like to speak to them in their native language, they more than can. But the real reason of us having them on their channel is that this is live questions and answers. You know, this is not playing a game of operator. If you have any questions, you can get it from the horse's mouth, so to speak, and directly ask the manufacturer. So
Ask them, since we've all done videos on it, ask them if we were telling the truth.
So I'll give my opinions on it, and my opinion is it's never going to replace these guys behind me, but it's not supposed to, right? And
That's not what it's for. Yeah,
right. It has its purpose, and I said before on the lives, like you couldn't pay for that kind of advertisement at a event with that thing running. You know, I know you hate coasters, Steve, but if you did a coaster and did something so detailed, it took 20 minutes, and it was just running for 20 minutes, it just still draw an audience.
I actually made it as I was playing with this UV laser this week. I actually made a coaster.
Uh-oh, Roger. You're going to have competition.
Goodness.
Hey, I've got a really custom coaster sitting on the table right here.
Let's see it. Oh, that's cool.
It's on slate. This is slate.
Now we need to zoom into Roger.
Nice.
I get $15 a piece for these.
Oh, it's a photo. Your granddaughter? Somebody's granddaughter?
That's my great granddaughter on this one.
Nice.
I just did some
You're old.
for a family. I did 8 of them. I obviously can't show that because it's, you know, people don't want their pictures up on the internet usually.
Yeah.
And I can do it with my kids. And here's another example if you want to take the background out.
Neat.
Yeah,
All right,
so
Roger,
it's nice
explain
heavy
that.
slate.
Explain that to us. How are you doing that?
These are blanks you buy. It's a coated slate. It's coated with some kind of polyester, and then I do sublimation onto it. We do tons of sublimation here, like neck lights. Did a bunch of these, and
So if
we
you
do
want
shirts
to
and
Nice.
what?
if you want to cheat, the way to make that yourself instead of buying the blank is we've all seen those. They look like pockets that you put a piece of paper in and laminate it hard.
Oh yeah, laminate. Yeah.
Okay. You cut it in
Laminate
half
works.
with 2 separate sheets, and if you iron that on whatever it is, that material that it's made out of, you can sublimate to.
Yep, I've done that on mirrors.
And laminate will stick to anything, a rock. I mean, like literally anything. So if you want to do a phone case, if you want to do, I mean, anything, then you could do full color on it. There you go, Roger. They're saying it's beautiful. Nice picture of your granddaughter.
We also do. I've been doing a bunch of these for a shop here this past week. These are little night lights that like for our kids' room, and they're Christmas themed. If I can get that close enough. They just plug in, and then there's a little sensor on the front that turns it off when it gets light, and turns it on when it gets dark. Here we go. So there's one. You want something a little bit more. My wife picked this picture out. That's AI generated, but
Oops.
that kind of thing. We're doing a lot of those for a shop here. I got a whole pile of them on the table I've been doing today.
I saw a message that said, "Hey, your audio is not there." So I put it back.
Jose said, new to laser. Well, you're at the right place, brother. Any questions you have, let us know. Let us know. That's what we're here for.
Yeah,
You got questions, we got answers.
The good news is everyone on this call was new to lasers at some point.
Yep. I've learned a ton from Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle's great.
Chris said,
Yeah, there you go. He knows.
It's like hanging out with a bunch of drug addicts. Sorry, Jose.
Pretty soon you'll have more than one laser too.
Yes,
You know, I think the only thing that's potentially more addictive than lasers is pickleball. I did a series of flasks for my girlfriend, and it says, I have a dinking problem. It has the 2 racquetball rackets on it. She took it to this high-end racquetball club, and they're like all over her. Please, I need 100 of these right now.
That's hilarious. It said, George met at the ISO Orlando sign show earlier this year.
Yeah, I remember you, Nancy. Very good to see you. It was a great show, the ISA. Eon was there, and that was why I went. I had been down on a cruise, and it just happened to be there when I was coming back through. So I spent a couple days, and that was where they introduced the new red line. And the thing that really went off biggest at that show that I saw was Eon's new ability to take the lens and literally, it's magnetically, I'll call it charged into the housing, so you can pull it right out. There's not even a screw to remove out of the new red line. And that goes from their smallest Mira 5 into their biggest signature series. It's a real game changer, and will get more people, in my opinion, involved, because it's so much easier to use the machine. Everything that they did was designed to make it less maintenance, and if there was maintenance, easier to deal with. I think we're about to see some big things change in the industry. And
Clayton, people are so impressed with sorry. People are so impressed with your work, Clayton. They want to know, can you post a link in the comments to the video of, they want to see that thing open. It's pretty cool. I saw it on Facebook. So how's the training course coming, Andy?
Which one? Like mine?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Have good results. We've had over 250 students go through it so far.
Nice.
Yeah. It's going good. I've got the last live call, to do live coaching calls tomorrow night. So
those who don't know, or maybe missed the live the first time you said that, do you want to kind of go over that, share that again?
Yeah, for sure. So if I'm known for CNC business, and I created a course called the CNC Side Hustle. And this was like 3 years in the process. This is like version 3 of the course. Really proud of it. But so yeah, the CNC Side Hustle, I released it this spring, and we've had about 250 students go through it so far. Kind of done our second class. And
do you want to talk about what it's geared towards? Why someone would want to take the class?
Yeah. So it takes you from knowing nothing with CNC routers and takes you all the way to teaching you the business side of it, what to focus on, and how to build a successful side hustle. It stops short, like the concepts in it, you could definitely scale to a full-fledged business. But I kind of broke it up and stopped short of that. Maybe I'll come up with another one that's like the next level. But yeah, it's designed for the beginner to take them from absolute zero, like I know nothing about CNC, to successful side hustles. So
I'll be right back. My washing machine keeps beeping. It's annoying the crap. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Dee-ding, dee-ding, dee-ding. I was
wondering if you could hear. I think there's a Black Hawk helicopter out my window.
What have you done?
Yeah, I know, right?
Chris, I haven't gone to the dark side. I just made a coaster to test the UV laser. Actually, I put this UV laser to work this week. I had a short notice order come in. I had to make a big bag full of keychains for someone who's going to a conference later in the week, and so I happened to make a couple extra coasters for that too. Just threw them in, cork coasters in that case.
So Andy, if they want to join your course, how do they find you? How do they join the course?
I'm one step ahead of you, Rick. I'm dropping a link. Can I drop links in the chat? Do they work?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there you go. You can check it out. That's where you can find it. So, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, Blackhawks fly over my house all the time. I don't live far from Fort Knox, so.
Not a joke, like for real?
No, for real. For real. Like the gold bullion, the gold, whatever they call it, the gold, where all the gold, where all the country's gold is supposed to be.
The gold reserve.
Supposed to be is, right up the road. So.
The skinny is it's empty.
Yeah, that's why they killed Gaddafi, because he was going to be the only person whose currency was 100% gold.
You know,
back, right?
I don't know. I don't know if it's there or not. You know, we'll never know. Supposedly, there's only a couple people that know, but
So Chris Gallagher said Steve has gone to the dark side. Make it a coaster.
He
You
has
know,
not.
if you ever sell coasters on your website, Steve, like you're just
Well,
gonna
you
get
see,
hate mail.
you know, as we found out from George, if I want to make a table, I can make $40,000. How long would it take me to make $40,000 selling coasters?
Nancy says, "Where do you source them?" Not being, if I may be nosy, I'm not sure what you're asking. What the source is for?
where do you source them?
Let us know what you're talking about, Nancy. We'll come back to you.
Coasters?
Hey, Rick, if I grab something, can I show it?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go grab something.
Jose said, "Can you do
yeah,
color
so-
and sheet metal on a
Oh, not with a
55
CO2
watt?"
laser, you can't.
Yeah, I think go one more down. He corrected. Xtool P2S is the one he's referring to.
Yeah, it's still a CO2 laser.
Oh man.
Yeah. I was just saying he clarified.
You can do color in slate.
All right, I'm
Sort
gonna
of.
have to go off camera. Hold on, we got to see this.
Okay, this is called California Buckeye Burl. There's a company, and I want to say Black Forest. I think they're out of Denver. They made a table out of this wood. It was kitchen-sized table. It was, I think, $45,000. I got this at a wood shop called California Exotic Woods in Anaheim. The wood value alone in this is probably $1,000. And then I poured it with a clear epoxy, and this is far from being done. There's probably 2 more treatments and sandings that this has to go through. Then underneath it, I'll light it. I'll put some RBG lights underneath it, and it'll shine up through. So when you're sitting there and watching a movie, you'd be able to see your wine glass without knocking it over, and it'd be in a I'll call it, kind of like a theater environment. But, it's not really that hard to do. I made the mold for this. I poured it up. This is not the most expensive epoxy. I saw no reason to use it after I'd had, great results with like 5 other ones. But I've done them out of, Sonoran ironwood, out of, which is really hard to get. You can come up with some really incredible things, and it's not really that hard. I even made the router sled that I flattened this with. Looks like we're in a lag trying to get back.
There you go. So you're going to sell that one?
No, it's for my girlfriend. But
how thick is that?
This one's probably just about 1 3/4 left. But there's a wood store. There's a couple of wood stores that I go to, mostly in Southern California. Another one in Phoenix called Woodcrafter's Source, where I get the woods. And what I found is that I'll spend a little bit more on the wood, but the end product result magnifies, multifold. It's kind of like the hickory cutting board that we just saw. Nice. If you have that kind of finish and, that unique a piece, you can, pull the money, you'll earn better doing this. Now, I don't recommend that you do your first one and go out and spend a whole bunch of money, but it's really not that great. The learning process is not that hard. I mean, right now I'm looking at laser behind me, and I'm seeing all you guys right now. I'm laserless, waiting for my new big one to arrive. I see all the. I've been setting up my garage and doing everything I can, so when it goes, I can start sharing projects that I've made.
I see so many people doing these epoxies, and like you said earlier, that like it's like wood that people would throw out. And I cut down trees so often. I'm like, man, I should start doing this crap. But I don't know. I don't know.
I went to Indio, California not too long ago, and they're putting through a new freeway, and they had taken out all this ironwood, and it was all stacked up at the side of the road. And I'm thinking to myself, I bet you they mulched that. And it's just, they do the same thing with mesquite. And mesquite is an absolute beautiful wood. I've done a couple of these out of mesquite that were just phenomenal. And you can take something like this, if you don't have that thick a wood, you go for $80, buy a Lazy Susan, put it on the bottom. You have a $700 easy, sell, but you got to take it to the right place to sell it.
Yeah. Nancy said, that's my dream to own an Eon laser. See, Eon, we were up for it until you tried to give us an all exclusive rights. So,
hey,
rethink that. Let us know.
I'm one of those guys. You got to get everybody's got to start. I started with an X-Tool D1. I mean, I would tell people, don't spend as much money on a laser and learn the software first. See if you can do that. I just want everybody to have the best tool for the job. You cannot do the same things with CO2 gantry laser that you can do with that UV laser, as was just pointed out. I mean, get the right tool for the job.
Yeah. So that UV laser is very purpose specific. You can't. So like your coins you make, Rick, you can't make those. But if you want to engrave on, leather, do something really quickly, you can do it with a UV laser. But if you want to cut acrylic, people ask me all the time, can I cut clear acrylic with a diode laser? No. Right? Like, don't buy a diode laser if you think you want to ever cut acrylic. And then you say, well, you can't buy a $300 laser or Andy's $99 laser. You have to buy, a little more substantial laser, right? You're looking at least $1,000 for a decent CO2 laser, and more if you want something that's bigger.
So, Steve, I'm going to direct this question towards you, because we butt heads on this topic sometimes and say the class 1 classic question. It says, Badware says, enclosed lasers are great for health and all, but inability to place a larger piece has really put me off. Funny thing is, the open gantries are almost the same price as the enclosed.
Yeah, they're getting there. Well, I mean, so if you want a diode laser that's big, there is one. What's the name of the company? Tykov or something?
Oh, that 20 by.
That just came out with a 4x, like you can put a 4x8 sheet of plywood in it and engrave it.
I thought there was still a GoFundMe option.
I think they're shipping now. I've seen ads for it. So you can get bigger ones, but in general, diode lasers, even if they're in a box or not in a box, they tend to be roughly 400 by 400 millimeters. So I don't know what that is in inches, like 14, 15 inches.
17
and a half. Yeah.
So, it's, I don't know.
So,
they all have a place though. I still have a diode laser on my workbench. I have the Acme P3 sitting there, and it has a very specific job that I use it for. And
so me specifically, I would not buy a laser, a diode laser. Let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
Only because it's enclosed. To me, if it's not enclosed, I don't care, because if I was really concerned, I'll just build an enclosure. I'd rather have it bigger. And then the whole idea if it opens on the sides, then it's not really, I mean, but to each his own.
So all of the enclosed lasers, you can put a conveyor through them, right? So
that's just one more thing that could cause an issue.
Yeah, but it's no more potential to cause an issue than rails that are a meter long.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys, you want to see the latest gadget that I bought?
Sure.
I don't know. Okay, what it is it's like an aerosol can, about $30 on Amazon, and it has you can refill it with an air compressor. You can run straight air out of it and use it as a cleaning device. Mm-hmm. Okay, like free bottled air that you don't have to keep buying. What I do is I put, for my woodworking, especially with epoxy, I'll put like 70% alcohol and water in this, and then use it to like pull dust off of the piece before I go into another grit. So what I'm doing is I'm removing the fibers and getting it clean so I don't contaminate between grits. But this was like $30. It's so cool. Everybody that comes into my shop wants the link for it and ends up buying one.
Nice.
Yeah,
So
I've seen these things. I've been kind of waiting for someone to actually have one so they could say.
Well, I'm just telling you, it's like pretty cool. I even thought about buying one and then giving it away on my Facebook group, just because, I like to share the cool little things. Another thing that I got, especially for you, Steve, is there's a sandpaper company on Amazon called Serious Grit. If you go to their own website, they're like a fraction of what Festool and some of the others are, and it's fabulous paper. It's actually made.
I might actually be using their stuff right now.
It's green. It's green.
I have some. Yes, I have some.
Yeah. It's cool stuff. It's the type of thing that I share in my groups and tell people. I have no relationship with any of these people, but they're products that I don't have to spend as much money on as like say Festool paper. And it fits right on my sander, does everything perfectly. I feel kind of obligated to share that with hobbyists. Get the biggest bang for your buck.
Tinkerer said he's been begging a manufacturer for a UV laser and haven't had luck yet. So my suggestion is ask another one. One manufacturer may say no, another manufacturer may say yes.
Yeah, the Commarker's UV laser. They use the JPT UV laser module, but I don't think they have too many of them yet. They're not shipping yet.
The Clack said, "I need a sawmill." I know. I got a tree down right now, laying on its side. It's about as tall as me.
That's our new contest keyword. Rick needs a sawmill. Start with that, Clayton. Get going.
I've been wanting to buy Harbor Freight has one.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
I've been wanting to buy one. And
I have briefly thought about it, and then it's like, really?
So I was thinking I'd have to build like a lean-to so I can keep it under.
Yeah.
The milling part to me is intriguing. I would enjoy that.
Yeah.
The part after that is where I really get hung up.
That lifting part?
Yeah, that part. But the drying of lumber is, yeah. Do you have a kiln? Do you air dry it? The rule of thumb is a year per inch of thickness for milled wood.
Steve, you'd be drying what? 2 months?
If you're gonna let it dry, air dry, just out like. That's what they say.
Yeah, with a kiln. With a kiln, you dry it.
Are you telling jokes over there, Rick?
Yeah. Dad joke.
But yeah, so dry. Like I'm like, man, I could saw up all. Like it would be really cool to have a sawmill, but it's like I can't use any of it.
Right. Clayton said that's called the Spider One, that big giant one.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. I just bought that paper and it's amazing. Lasts longer.
Yep.
I buy a Diablo.
My paper comes from Klingspor.
Klingspor's a good company.
Steve, how's your wife doing, Steve?
So there's a place in Los Angeles. It's actually in Anaheim. It's called Street Tree Revival. And what they do is they contract with the cities and go out and take big trees off of basically public land that have to be removed for construction or whatever. And they cut it, mill it, and then kiln it and resell it. And most cities have something like that. And a lot of them, that's where some of these slabs and type things are coming from. If you go direct, and I've been to Street Tree Revival, I walked in, I walked out with stuff, and they had species of wood that you couldn't believe. And in Los Angeles, he said they've harvested over like 120 different species of wood.
Wow.
So, depending upon the area that you're in, it's if you're a woodworker, if you find out who the city contracts to remove the trees, you may be able to find some real deals on wood.
Local to Roger and I, there's actually an auction that they sell these woods. And I guess since the train yards is near us, they can ship it fairly cheap across the country from train because it weighs so much. And I actually had people that go to the auction and sell wood stop at my house. One guy was like, "Hey, I'll take that tree off your hands." I'm like, "Dude, that tree's like, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of years old. Like it's over 6 feet wide. Like when it hit the ground, my wife came running outside because she thought something fell on the house. Like it was like thud. You know what I mean?" He was like, then 2 more people came in, offered me a couple $100, and I told him $5,000, you can take it. And one guy said, like, "Man, if I brought it to an auction, I could double my money." He says, "But I'm gonna need a crane to pick it up, and I'm gonna need a low boy trailer." And I says, "Okay, well then work with me. You're not offering me $500. You just told me you doubled the money." Like, you know what I mean? That much money. I got friends. I'll get it there.
Where I live, tree falls are usually pretty easy because we get hurricanes. So
Yeah.
Well, from where I am, I'll even name the town of Muscatine, Iowa. It's about 35 miles from here. There's a sawmill down there that if you have a tree and can get it there, they'll cut it up for you, they'll dry it. They also have like an outlet there where lumber that they've cut, and you can go buy it if you wish. And it's just all kinds of stuff. Neat place.
Yeah, Clack, I actually blew my radiator in my John Deere tractor pushing that log. So it's been
should have went with the Kubota, man.
I have a Kubota.
Nothing runs like a deer.
Yeah. You know what it was is I was in high gear and I was struggling. It was inching, and I stuck it and I was like, "Oh, low." I stuck it in low. It was pushing like I was pushing a tennis ball, and I got cocky. I was like, just kind of rolling that log away, and all of a sudden, like, I smelled radiator fluid. Boom! I backed off it, and sure enough, right at the top of the seam where it meets the radiator, the cap on the inside was just pissing like crazy. I'm like, oh.
Must have been its time, because pushing a log isn't gonna bother that. It just happened to be the time, right?
It has to be. I mean, I don't know. The tractor's only 1.5 years old, so
yeah.
I think I just pushed.
You probably got a plastic radiator tank then instead of the good old brass ones, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Said from my silly research from the past few weeks, X-Tool Bet Advantage is moving the Z-axis. Are there any other diodes moving up and down Z-axis?
There's a couple. Aetzer has one.
Eicher,
yeah. I don't know. This is another one of my pet peeves. I find the doing like a Z-axis focus automatically is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I have an Eicher K1 Pro. It has the automatic.
Yeah, but it's 10 times faster to do it by hand.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. No, he asked if there's an option, and it can go down by Z-axis too,
There is, but
yeah,
they're really a waste of money in my opinion.
Yeah.
So Steve, auto setting Z on a coaster would really bend you the wrong way.
Yeah, that would put me over the edge.
Hey, so for Christmas,
Making
everyone can
coasters on
mail
an
Steve
autofocus laser.
one of your coasters you make as a gift.
Well, the ones I made are all corporate coasters for a company, but maybe I'll have the cheap coaster award at the end of the year for.
Do you guys remember the little like aluminum coasters they used to put at Wendy's because everyone used to smoke at the restaurant?
Oh yeah, my
I
daughter
remember those.
Like an aluminum ashtray.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But literally, like you're a little kid eating a hamburger, there's like this old grandma smoking this cool cigarette 100 like right next to you, or in Denny's. It was just because it was that little wall.
See, anybody who's under, say, the age of
40
40 probably has never experienced that.
Yeah. Well, I
I
remember
remember smoking on airplanes.
Yeah, well,
Oh, that wasn't that long
yeah.
ago, actually.
I saw the ashtrays, but I don't remember. I wasn't old enough to see anyone smoking, but the ashtrays were still there when I was a kid.
Yeah, the irony on airplanes was they always asked you if you wanted smoking or non-smoking, and it was really, do you want to suck the fumes in directly, or do you want to let them circulate through the plane first?
Yeah. I don't care what they say. Plain air is not good quality air.
No.
Yeah. Craig said it all depends on where you live and the type of wood you're drying. It will determine how fast it dries.
Yeah, well,
That's true. If you're living in an area with low humidity, it's going to dry a whole lot faster. So if you're like
Yeah,
in Arizona or something,
I don't.
Tinkerverse, they have the Iker K1 Pro.
Yeah.
Roger, you have one too, right?
a which?
Iker K1 Pro. I thought you had an Iker.
No,
Adam Stack.
I have an Adam Stack.
Yeah, it's the same company.
Got the 30 Pro.
Okay.
Adam Stack has a new enclosed printer coming out too. Forget the
Yeah.
model number.
Iker is like their rebranded higher version, but it is Adam Stack.
Yes.
But they don't hide that either. So I don't understand why they did it. And now they're selling the Iker stuff on Adam Stack's website. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like Ortur and their I forget their other rebranded one, little like slightly lower. Faro, that was the other one. Ortur and Faro are basically just Ortur lasers.
So so you guys did see I think I said it last week. You saw my video of on the nano laser.
Where your wife was browbeating you for getting another laser?
Yeah. So it's got 2.2 million views on TikTok right now. It's a little insane.
That is insane. The acting was terrible.
Yeah, it's not supposed to, and I even got like nasty gram. You should lie to your wife, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, it's a joke. Like I'm not even like synced perfect. You know what I mean? Like it's supposed to be intentional. I wasn't pretending it was my voice,
Yeah, it was like an overdubbed kung fu movie from
the exactly.
Your lips move and then the words come out a couple seconds later.
My daughter was like standing up by the top. She's like, come down here. I'm like, what are you doing? I already opened the box. I can't, but it was funny. Yeah. So that's what Steve said. Because at the end I say it's $35. Kind of like Andy's $99 laser.
I'm gonna do another one of those.
Yeah, you got to find another $99 laser.
I don't know if I can, but I'm gonna try.
I thought it was funny.
$99 lasers are about $300 now.
Yeah, I had to comment when I found that video. I was like, all right, I found it.
I still get comments and messages. Hey, I can't find this laser. I'm like, it's been 2 years.
I'm gonna take that video and pin it on my wall. Hey guys, hit up Andy for the promo code.
Yeah. Oh geez.
So I was asked, and I think it's because the Bearded Viking started a Facebook group. So people constantly emailing me and asking me if I would start a Facebook group. And I kind of get what it is. It's like we all have our own Facebook groups. We all have our own Facebook pages. But like we also, besides wood makers or makers in this live, we have a lot of fellow YouTubers. And I get, somebody may think I may be offended if I went to your page and posted my work, like advertising something, but you're not really, you're just kind of share. So I get that. Like you're not trying to step on anyone's toes. You're trying to be respectful. So to play nice in the sandbox would not necessarily be one person's page. It's collectively everyone who's watching us to be able to post in there and do things. So I did go ahead and create that group. If anyone wants to join, that'd be great. And then, of course, any promotions, anything we have going on with the live, I'll post that in there as well. But, if you make content or anything like that, you can post in there. It's fine. It's not like it's just, our live.
Yeah. When I started my group, it was because so many of the Facebook groups where I went in to get information were controlled by, one specific manufacturer. And my attitude was just get the right tool for the job. So I did Laser Freedom. And I think the only thing that I've been kicking out are people that come in and try and post in the infamous Chinese lantern for Etsy. That's the only thing I've thrown out. I have not removed anyone for anything. It's like I feel like we're all big boys and, should be able to, say whatever we want to, especially if it's about a machine. We don't all have to like the same thing. As a matter of fact, I learned so much more by listening to the viewpoints of other people that, that's what I look for. And I had a hard time finding it. That's the only reason I even started the group. And I'm up to about 700 followers.
Nice. So Halloween is coming to an end. The additional holidays coming are Thanksgiving and Christmas. So we always talk about find your niche, but to have seasonal items and seasonal items on top of your niche can make you a ton of money. Is there anything you guys are working on, or would suggest maybe some items that from entry levels to advanced levels that somebody could make, or you suggest they make?
More on the advanced end. I've been meaning to make an advent calendar, an actual wooden one with all the little boxes.
Nice.
It's not going to happen this year, but
Roger, I did see you doing the night lights and things like that were Christmas orientated. What's funny is that I've been seeing a lot of people post lately, which is cool that people are willing to share. They're like, hey, I'm doing my first trade show, and I'm assuming all this is going to sell. And some of it's borderline crafty versus craft, like we went down that road. But they're being honest and saying like, this sucked or this sold. So like learn from someone else's heartache and pain. You know what I mean? Like, so that's cool. But they said they had more Christmas sales in July.
Oh wow.
Because people do Christmas in July. Is that big by you guys?
Yeah, that's common here.
Yeah. She said she made so many sales in July that she went nuts on Christmas and she like tanked. But
isn't that ironic?
Yeah, I was like, Christmas in July. Okay.
Well, she can sell them in July.
Yeah, that's it. You guess you got leftovers.
So I brought this. This was the response to the Z-axis thing. So this meshing for uneven surfaces, the only laser that does that is the X-Tool lasers. The S1 and the P2.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well,
by
if you're engraving over a weird surface,
or something like that,
like this, right? If you have a piece, if you have something that's curved like that, you can engrave it on an S1 and get focus across the whole curve.
You mean that it'll automatically detect it,
Yes.
raise, and automatically go back down?
Yep.
Oh wow, pretty cool.
Yeah, it's one of their unique features, and it's I
P2
don't know of
right?
another laser that does that other than the X-Tool lasers.
Yeah, I think it's in the P2 as well, right?
P2, P2S, and S1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a P2 and mine does it, but I don't like the software.
You don't like the what?
XCS is kind of growing on me now.
Software.
No. Yeah.
I don't know. It depends which version you're running. The new one, 2.1.21 or 25, whatever it is I'm running now. They've redesigned some of the user interface, so it's gotten a lot easier to use. I mean, it was pretty easy anyway by comparison to LightBurn, but it's not as powerful as LightBurn, that's for sure. But
I heard a rumor that LightBurn may pick up the Z-axis ability and that it may be able to be used with a CNC in the future. But that was just
Steve has the software.
That was a
well,
rumor.
I think you'll be able to do that. Certainly with MillMage, you'll be able to do it.
I'm just saying with LightBurn, because everybody's, LightBurn in the laser world to me is that's the Bible. That's the best of the books. So, but I heard that from a couple of people at the International Sign Association show in Florida but not from the guys at LightBurn, but
Yeah,
and not from the guys at Eon, but someone else in one of the laser booths was saying that they'd heard that that was going to happen. And I'm one of those, until it happens, it's not that, it's not that important to me.
it would make sense for it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I talked to last time I talked to Xtool about this support in LightBurn, they said LightBurn has no interest in doing this. But that was a year ago.
Chris Gallagher said Christmas in July works because then everyone gets to have their beach weather or snow for Christmas. Yeah, that's why I was surprised. Like a lot of people were commenting that that's a big thing, Christmas in July.
Yeah, it's huge here in this particular area, not the whole country.
Yeah. Tinkerer said, I have a strong dislike against for XCS. I don't use my P2 as often as I'd like, mainly because of XCS. I turn my diodes or fibers more often.
I don't know. It's kind of growing on me. It's easy to get in and do stuff and get out.
With me, I only use it if I have to. I'm so much more comfortable in LightBurn that's what I use.
Yeah, XCS is still definitely a work in progress, but they have like 200 developers. Like their development team is way bigger than LightBurn's team.
So tell me, Steve, what is an advantage? What is something that, because I keep hearing the reason you want to use this because they have supported features that are not supported in LightBurn. So what are these supported features?
Well, so that contoured focus is one of them. That's a big one. Let's say it's a big one if that's what you do all the time. And there are people who do. But the other thing that XCS gives you that LightBurn doesn't is you get instant connection to a material library, to a community. And I have no affiliation with Xtool other than I have a couple of their lasers. But I don't mind XCS. Like it's just like if you grab a material, right? Oh, I'm working with paper. You go type in their library. You can just go say I want cardstock, and you click a button, and you've got the settings in XCS.
So is that why you like it? I mean, I know you're more established using laser, but I'm saying.
Well, it depends on the user, right? Like I've always said LightBurn was designed by engineers for engineers. Like the learning curve is pretty steep with LightBurn. I mean, it's getting better. Like the basic stuff, like if you just want to lay down a rectangle and throw it out to the laser, that's easy. But if you want to do like sub layers and cleaning passes, if you have a fiber laser, there's some rocket science in there.
So people are asking, when is Andy going to give away the Thunder laser since he doesn't use it or make videos on it anymore?
It's used. I just don't make videos on it. I haven't. But remember, give me a break here. We just switched shops. We're getting this one set up. I've got a lot of things to make content on. So, hey, on this software, I just had a thought. Okay, so I use LightBurn. I know nothing about the Milmage, but I know that's a LightBurn cam product, correct?
Yes.
So going over to the CNC side, going to Vectric, right? Their CAD CAM software. They have a laser module that you can actually use in Vectric.
Yeah.
That no one uses.
Right.
So my question is are we going to end up with the same thing with LightBurn and their Milmage as Vectric has with their laser module?
I don't think so. Like they're two separate applications, right? And the reason I keep bringing up this message that Rick keeps clicking away from is if you understand LightBurn, you'll understand Milmage. Now, keep in mind, and I mean, I can't really say a whole lot about it, but Milmage is not V-carve, right? It's more the easel end, which is good because there's a big market in those.
Explain what you mean by that, because now you're assuming that people are familiar with both. What did you mean by coining those two names?
Well, so V-carve is like the limousine, right? And if you look at things like easel, for example, easel is decidedly the Yugo, the Skoda, whatever,
It really
right?
is. Yeah.
It's basic and it'll get stuff done. And and that's I think that's the market that LightBurn's trying to go for with Millmage. Like it has a few basic tool paths, and it seems to do those fairly well. But it's not like if you want to do inlays or anything crazy like you can do in LightBurn or in VCarve, I don't see that happening in Millmage.
Yeah, it's an interesting move from LightBurn, like to move into that market, right?
Well, I will point out that they originally said at their last user conference there that Millmage was going to be available in Q4 of 2023, right at the end of last year, and here we are in Q4, just about Q4 of 2024, and I think they underestimated the amount of effort that was going to be. It's easy to look at a laser and go, oh, it moves in XY directions, and so does a CNC, so this will be easy. That's not the case.
Right? For the record, Steve, my first car was Yugo, and the starter was out on it, and it was stick shift, and every time I started, I push started it. I had a really cute chick. She got out of my car one day, and I was parked on a hill, and I said I'd give her a ride home. I put it in neutral, so it rolled back, and I hit it in reverse and started, and then went away. And she says, "Why did it do that so rough?" I said, "Oh, it's a Yugo. That's how they start."
My first car was a lime green 1973 Datsun B210.
Oh.
Before Nissans, right? Like before they used their like they were always Nissan in Japan, but then here in North America they were Datsuns for a while. And that thing had 173,000 miles on it when I got it.
So did it have paint or was it mostly rust?
Fenders were rebuilt, fiberglass fenders, and then repainted. It burned about a quart of oil every time I filled up the gas tank. Right? So I got to know the guy down at the local service station because I'd fill up with gas and I'd go in and get a bucket of oil out of his discarded oil bin and throw it in.
That's hilarious.
Paid $500 for it when I graduated and left home, and my father called me and said, "Do you want to sell that?" And I said, "How much?" He said, $500. I said, "Sold." So I drove it for another several years, and it cost nothing to drive.
Nice. Collections, you're gonna have to use XCS version 2.2.21 for the smart filter. I had to upgrade.
Yes, you are. It's 25. The smart filter, yeah, that's another thing I was looking at this week. That thing is so finally there is an amazing air purification system.
I'm just not. I don't think I'm into promoting them, right? I think that they should be. What I mean by that is, if you have no choice, it's better than nothing. But I would stress the fact you should externally vent. Right. If you're not going to,
for sure.
Fine.
For sure. But I've had so many people reach out to me and say, "Hey, I live in an apartment," or my neighbor complains every time I turn my laser on, so I have to have an air purification. And they had the first generation of those. Xtool just rebranded one that everyone uses. WeCreate uses the same one. And they're better than nothing, but they still smell, right? But this thing, man, you can cut leather, and we all know how it smells. It's basically you're cutting death. And like I stuck my nose right on the output end of the air purifier, and it was nothing but fresh air. Like it was amazing.
Right, but keep in mind, carbon filters can remove smells, but it won't remove like CO2, carbon.
No, this thing removes 90, almost 100% of particulate and odor.
Right, but what I'm saying is, you're creating carbon monoxide in your house, or you're in a small confined area. burning some of that black smoke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my shed is where my workshop is big, so I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah.
I
It's
heard
not big enough, of course, but
I heard Steve locked himself in there for a day and he was fine.
He was hanging with like the coat
I
hanger.
lock myself in there every day.
Is that why he was making a coaster?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got
He
dizzy.
was going red rum.
Yeah, I got dizzy from the CO2 or CO and accidentally made a coaster.
So I put an air circulation kit on my Monport K40, but it is being externally vented. And the only reason I did that was because I want to cut a lot of acrylic.
Yeah.
And I figured the toxins are going to be in the air. My wife says that sometimes when she comes home, I'll have 2 lasers running. She's like, one of these days, someone's going to call the cops. I think the house is on fire. Because like on the outside of my house, it just looks like a dryer vent, right?
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
what
Yeah, I've got same thing in the shop here.
Yeah.
Smoke just rolls out of that. Every once in a while, the wife will come out. And, is that you or the neighbor smoking? Because our neighbor has a huge smoker. I mean, you can put a whole hog on his smoker. When he gets that thing fired up, you can smell all over the neighborhood.
right. Yeah.
that wouldn't smell bad, actually.
No, it's quite good. A lot better than
Yeah,
weather.
so all of my lasers are vented outside, but I do see it. So I want to build just a little portable table to roll around in my workshop, and I'm thinking of putting it in there, so that if I drop a laser on, I can just plug a hose onto it, and
That's not bad.
yeah. So
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
open face too. Like Roger, I see him a lot of times. He'll just crack his garage when it's nice up.
So Nancy, I'll have a review of that coming up. I'm actually working on that right now. So it'll be, well, I can't release it until the 21st because that's when Xtool's releasing all of that stuff. So far, it's all just teasers. I will point out though, while you'll have amazing exhausting, it will be very loud. That fan is a jet engine.
Well, if it's gonna suck, it's gotta,
That's
high TFM. It's gonna have a big motor on it.
Well, yeah, but in the P2, it's the same basic module that's in the P2S with two high flow fans back to back, and it's quieter in the P2S. Now maybe it's just because it's in a bigger box. I don't know, but this thing is it's just a little square cube, or just a little cube with a hole out each end, and when you turn that thing on, man, is it loud.
Roger's gonna invent a 3D printed muffler.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Buy this for 25
That's not
bucks.
a bad idea, actually.
It baffles the sound.
There you go.
I have a question for you guys. Any rumors on new rotary devices?
Yes.
We talked about one last week.
Yeah, actually, I talked to him last night because it was kind of funny. Last week, it was like 4 manufacturers jumped on our live. And it seems like Hong Song Laser and a couple other lasers are these rotary I want to see, are you in their live right now?
Raise your hand.
Yeah. So there's a manufacturer, local and stateside, who is becoming a. I just saw something pop in. I wanted to see if it was that.
False alarm.
Yeah, but there's a manufacturer that's becoming like an OEM distribution that's going to start coming with a lot of different lasers. So the fact that we all have all different type of lasers, I was telling, because he said I can make it work on anything, and I said, really? Well, we have a lot of different lasers we can make it work on. Rotoboss Clayton said it right there.
Yeah.
So so I don't know. We're working. We'll see if we can get us all some Rotobosses.
And this is my personal opinion, but I think that some of the bigger names are like over-engineered and way too expensive.
So Steve made a comment that it looked like it looks.
Had a lot of parts.
When I saw it, I just looked at the looks. It looked like aircraft aluminum.
Oh, it looks cool.
Heavily engraved. It was like multicolored. But I just thought looks. I don't even know the price, to be honest with you. I was like, oh, this thing's got to be expensive, right? But so I guess what he's saying is the whole idea with that product is keep it simple, stupid. I was like my father's saying. It's real easy to use. And the reason that they're saying is because most of the time when you're doing tumblers, you're doing devices, it's sitting like this, and you're struggling getting this side up, and it's supposed to be real easy to level. Now, I don't know that, so I'm not saying yay or nay or one way or the other, but we'll soon find out.
Yeah, when I bought my first CO2 laser, it came with a standard rotary. And everybody was telling me it's a piece of trash, it's a piece of trash. And as soon as somebody tells me that, I start thinking, well, wait, what is the difference between this and one of the more expensive ones? Because they're all running the same motor. So I looked at it, put some T-track, cut some acrylic, put a stand in it, and all of a sudden I have something that will engrave a wine glass. I mean, it would do it all. I mean, I spent $35 and had the base rotary. It was only $100, not $1,000. I actually ended up creating a little bit of the manufacturers are calling me going, hey, George, and I gave away the LightBurn file for it. It actually, I sold that laser to one of my friends that really wants to do production, where I really want to do invention. I think I'm some kind of shade tree engineer. And I've been looking at these. I went out and bought a 3D printer just to maybe come up with an idea to be able to swivel the motor and put a chuck on it and make it work really cheap.
So I think you need Steve's software development and you need Roger's 3D printing, and you
actually you don't even need the software development because it's controlled by the motor in LightBurn.
Yeah, there's no software. It's already built into LightBurn.
Yeah, so all you really need is a motor to know what that motor is, then build a cage and put a chuck on it. And we're paying $1,000 for that. Now they're beautiful. I'm telling you, I like pretty, but $1,000 for pretty when I just want to do a couple of tumblers.
Yeah, not too many of them are $1,000 anymore. Like you can get, the IKEA one or the Aether one that have tiltable head and all kinds of features on them, and they're like $200.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the price of that one for that guy. I don't even know what it costs. I never.
Yeah, the Rotobus, there was no pricing on their site, so
really,
not that I saw anyway. I only took a quick look.
It's like one of those things. If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Well, I mean, it can't be, right? It's just standard 2020 extrusion and stepper motor. Like it's now. I mean, he's paid attention to some details, right? He's definitely made it easier. But it shouldn't be crazy expensive.
It looks like 5 people just requested to join the Facebook group. Thank you, guys. Feel free to post any of your upcoming projects, questions, and if you are a YouTuber, go ahead and drop the links from your videos. We are a collaborative environment. Yeah, so
elaborate.
One of the questions we asked is, what is something you purchased that you regretted or something you didn't use? And one of the very first things people said is rotaries and tables. And we asked why, and it's because people are like, they don't know how to use it.
The other one is cameras.
Yes, cameras.
Yeah, cameras are, for me, are not the...
Yeah.
So
I don't find much value in rotaries either, but that's just my use case. Like rotaries themselves are valuable for things, but like we had laser chick on there last week. Was that her? I don't want to mispronounce her name.
Yeah,
that
Nikki,
was her channel,
chick,
right?
Yeah,
Nikki.
Chick. Yep.
We had Nikki on last week, and I mean, this is her bread and butter, right? And it is for a lot of people, but for me, it's like, it's just not my thing.
So
I probably don't use a rotary more than maybe 5 or 6 times in an entire year.
Yeah, that's probably my quantity of usage too.
4 of those is probably for a demonstration.
So the whole thing with the tumblers is that you can make tumblers in just about anything, right? You can make it with a diode laser, you can make it with a fiber laser, you can make it with a CO2 laser. But what Nikki was talking about was that if you were to clock them, the CO2 laser will blow away any other lasers at the amount of time that it takes. I haven't done them, so I can't say that.
Yeah, that's true if the tumbler is painted and you're just engraving the paint off.
Correct. Right.
If you're starting with bare stainless, then you're kind of out of luck with your CO2, right?
Yep. To blacken it or color it.
Well, yeah, you'd have to spend big bunch of money for some Surmark or something and spray it, and that takes time. And
Yeah.
We do
So-
several hundred tumblers a year, but they're not diode done. They're everything sublimation with what we do with tumblers.
So the cool
that's
part
probably
is
that's. I mean, you get a nicer job, and it's way faster than any laser is going to do it. Right?
Yeah.
the cool part is we all collectively have our go-to lasers, so to speak, that are different.
Yeah.
So we could be the guinea pig for that rotary and say, is it worth the money? And then my thing is that I think we're a perfect example because we don't do it. So it's out of your comfort zone. It's not worth my time. So would that device put in your laser make it be like, oh shit, I can do these? Or, I don't know why I didn't do these. You know what I mean?
For me, it's entirely possible that I don't use it very often because most of the rotaries I've seen are not all that good and they're hard to set up. And this Rotoboss it looked complicated, but I think a lot of that complication was to actually make it easier to use. And so it is entirely possible that I just hate rotaries. Well, I don't hate them, but I just don't use them because
and tumblers.
It's not the same kind of hate I have for coasters, but I just don't use them because I find reasons not to make tumblers. I think just because it's
Clark said he makes around $1,500, $2,000 a year doing tumblers. It's not his main product, but he does.
Yeah, and there's good money, right? And there's lots of people who that's all they do.
Mm-hmm.
I've adapted the driver on my corn maker so I can use X tool on the P2 and the V4 fiber. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, sweet.
Well,
you're using the
good
RA2
rotary.
Pro. Yeah, the RA2 Pro is a nice little rotary.
That's a nice rotary. I've got one of those.
Yeah.
Laser is good for etching glass, which is more permanent. It's totally different, though.
Yeah, specifically UV lasers are good for that. CO2 lasers will mark glass without any prep, but they tend to actually engrave the layer underneath the surface, and then as soon as you're done, it all chips out and it leaves rough edges and stuff.
Clayton said Rotoboss is expensive. I definitely think it looks like the Cadillac of rotaries. Yeah, so I don't think it's going to be. It's not your Aldi's rotary, It's not your Harbor Freight rotary. It may be your Cadillac or Rolls Royce rotary, but we'll see. Oh, Steve's making it rain.
All right, thanks, Steven.
I think rotaries are not worth the money while compared to laser CNC work.
Yeah, if you're doing like a 2.5D CNC project, you can make some good money off of those. And part of the benefit of a CNC from an owner's perspective is that a CNC tends to be expensive. And that's a good thing because that means not everybody's going to buy one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
But
and there's also a serious, Andy can attest, there's also a serious skill development there that has to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. The barrier to entry is a real thing.
Yes.
And it can be to your advantage. Obviously, use it to your advantage. I've given this example several times, but I would say over the last 4 or 5 years of doing our craft shows, we usually do 5 a year from September to the end of the year. And we've done pretty much the same ones, a couple off, but a couple different ones. But the main thing that I've seen is the growth in laser vendors, people selling laser created projects. I would say 4 or 5 years ago, you'd see an occasional one. But this year, last year, it grew. You'd see 2, 3, 4, 5, depending on the size of the event. But typically, I'm still the only CNC router product person at an event. There's not another person at the same event that is running a CNC router.
That says something at large.
Yeah, it is that barrier to entry, right? It's the cost of the thing. Plus, I mean, that the cost of the CNC is one thing. You're going to spend, $5-6 grand for a good production CNC. Then you have to buy the software. That's another grand or two. Then you have to spend who knows how many hours and how much material, making mistakes, learning how to use it. And I think lasers used to be like that, but they've reached maturity now, right? And I mean, I think it was probably 2 years ago, I was talking to Louisiana hobby guy, and he argued with me, but I said, within 2 or 3 years, you won't be able to sell a laser because not a diode laser, just because everybody's going to have one. And then it's just a replacement market at that point. And look what the manufacturers are doing, right? Look at Xtool. They're moving out of diode lasers and moving into CO2 and fiber now.
Yeah,
I think CNC is definitely something that people aspire to grow into, right? We jokingly say having one laser is like having none, and you grow into having more, or maybe multiple types. But I think it's a lot easier to make a jump from a diode laser to a CO2 laser to a fiber laser. Those hurdles are a lot smaller than going to a CNC. But I think that if you had a diode laser, a CO2 laser, and a fiber laser, you've established yourself enough that maybe that next hurdle is not so scary. Or as scary.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question a diode laser is like a gateway drug, right? Like it's the thing that gets you. You either say, I never want to touch anything mechanical again, or I want to go to the next thing now. And all of those people are working towards CNCs. There's a guy right there, Mr. Clack. Right?
Yeah.
He has a CNC now, and I thought the world had ended the first time I saw his Shea Poco video there.
This isn't all to say that the CNC router market, like there's a lot of CNC users out there.
There is
just not nearly as many as laser users.
I mean, just look at the number of companies in the laser world, right? And I'm willing to bet by the end of 2025, probably more than half of them are gone.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, how many of these things can you sell, right? And look at the price too. The price is going up, and at some point you go, gee, $2,000 for a laser or $3,000 for a CNC. Maybe I'll just go right there.
Yeah. ATG man made a good comment. He's saying that besides the CNC itself, a learning curve also is all the different bits and how to use them. I think, Andy, I've watched quite a bit of your views, and you're talking about RPMs and the result differences in not just like pitching your own bits, but really saying like knowing how to use them in the proper RPMs, that using these two particular bits and why you use it. And not to say you couldn't achieve the same results with certain bits, but that's just not the bit to use, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's the learning curve in CNC is setting up your tool paths, setting up the cam side of things. I would say generally, I'm generalizing here, the CAD work, we don't even call it that in the laser world, do we? But the design work with laser and CNC, just from a general 2D perspective, is somewhat similar. Differences, but I think if you can wrap your mind around design for a laser, you can wrap your mind around the design for CNC. Now, the next step is where it gets really steep. It's what, setting up these tool paths, the path that your tool is going to follow, just like a laser, the path that your laser is going to follow. In laser, you have power and speed. And with the CNC, you have RPMs, depth of cut,
feed rate,
tool, like type of tool, down cut, up cut,
grain direction.
Yeah, grain direction.
Not that I played with any of that stuff. Chip load.
Yeah. And chip load.
That's another one on the tool bit is the load.
Yeah, and I don't even in wood. Honestly, you don't need to worry about chip load.
Clack added another one. Plunge rate.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
Plunge
throw
rate.
that on
Yeah.
there.
And there's just so many strategies. Like when you get into it truly is machining, like
Yeah.
beginner machining, like ramping in and leads and offsets. And so, anyways, I don't say all that to intimidate anybody, but it's okay if you understand all that. Now, what happens when that tool, hits the wood? Like my point is you can understand that on the computer side, but real life, when you hit go, what's going to happen, right? And that's just where experience, like you're just gaining experience.
There's another one. Step over.
As an
There you go,
industry,
Steve.
as an industry observation, one of the problems that the CNC manufacturers have is they have not gone to people like you that could teach how to do this. They don't have like a step-by-step tutorial. So when you go to the purchase site, you can't see the ease of having it set up. The laser industry's got a little bit better about that. Xtool is a great example of really high quality, well thought out marketing. But the CNC world has not caught up with that. I run a Stepcraft M1000. In fact, I have two of them. I took one and was taking it to my girlfriend's house in Irvine, and somebody in the HOA saw it and said, "That's an industrial machine. You can't have that here." now, and you could get into an argument with an HOA. I was a real estate broker and banker. I know what this could mean. It could mean $20,000 in a legal battle. That even if you win, you still got to pay the attorney. So now I have two of them. But Stepcraft has come out, and they've got Stepcraft University, which they're starting to rep. Is you can go in and say, here, step by step by step, do each one of these things, and you have the end product. If you can do that, CNC will launch off bigger. But what's happened is, you go onto the internet and you find this guy that gives you this point and click and that point and click, but the manufacturers aren't doing it to the level to really capture sales. And the first one I've seen that's doing it is Stepcraft, and I followed that only because I have two of the machines.
So Steve, you're going to have to come out with a flight simulator for CNC.
Well, CNC company needs to go to him and say, hey, well, let's team up and do 2 or 3 of these and put them on the website. This is how easy it is to do. Xtool's
Or you could just take his course and they'll teach you.
That's what I'm saying.
I would just tell people to go and talk to Andy and take his course.
Just pay the damn money.
Yeah.
Well, some of it.
You gotta
And
pay.
what I'm saying is I totally agree, but they need to collab with the instructor, and they're not doing it.
Yeah, there's a couple. It's interesting you bring that up. There's a couple that pop in my head that, not machine, but Tools Today. I don't know if you are familiar with that company.
They're a Stepcraft distributor too.
Yeah, they are. They hired Matt a couple years ago. Matt does all their social media, and he did what I did before they hired him, and that's his job. Is he creates content for them, and so in similar, these CNC companies could do the same thing and say, hey, either we want to partner with you, which they do in some capacity, but it's not a nuts and bolts step-by-step type of thing,
Yeah, they haven't lowered that bar, right? It's just, and not to take the HOA side here, but really the CNC world is more an industrial tool world for sure. Right?
Yeah.
It's not made for the rec room crafter to make something. It's just not that market.
Yeah, it usually comes.
Go ahead.
It usually comes from like the woodworker, right? It's like if you look at the market, if a woodworker has tools, table saw, basic woodworking tools, I'm speaking off the top of my mind here. So if you don't agree with me, I think the pattern is what I've observed is typically they don't buy a laser first. Like if they have a table saw, again, I'm generalizing, but a CNC router is a much more common, like they look at it as another tool, right? Like another woodworking tool.
They map it to a router.
Yeah, exactly. So not saying woodworkers don't buy lasers, because that's definitely they do, but
we have that argument a lot.
Yeah.
But they're not woodworking tools, damn it.
My journey started with this.
Oh, I just heard like the Rocky theme playing when that comment started. I got to see you. Now you got to make your funny video. You got to make that playing. You got to do the bob and weave and say woodworkers don't buy CNCs to make fun of my video. How much does that cost?
Yeah,
No, I
I
get
don't
what you're
know.
saying, Andy. I definitely what you're saying that
yeah,
that if someone is a woodworker, they maybe the likelihood of them going the route of a CNC versus a laser is probably more likely because they're just geared in that direction and they see that as another tool in their tool belt, so to speak.
Yeah.
But maybe someone who's getting into lasers may not necessarily have the tool set, that woodworking frame. Not to say that doesn't exist, but maybe an easier path for someone who's not down that path already to join.
Yeah.
So I agree.
It is very different than the small hobby laser market or the vinyl cutter market. Like all of those things that tend to be more craft associated, right?
Yeah.
So the point of what Clack is saying here, he said between the sawmill, the kiln, woodworking, CNC, dial laser, CO2, fiber laser, I have plenty of work to keep 3 machines running right now. So that's the point. Like just because you have a CNC doesn't mean you have a thunder laser. It doesn't work in the background. It's just for decoration,
not for all of us anyway.
The one that he makes coasters
I was
with.
waiting for a backlash, but no. But just because you have a CNC doesn't mean you don't use those other things. So just because you graduated to a certain level that you've achieved, like you set goals. I want to be able to purchase this tool. Doesn't matter what it is, right? You can want a chop saw or you can want a table saw. That once you get you grow your tools, it doesn't mean you don't still use your old tools. Like that's beneath you anymore. So that's becoming well-rounded, be able to offer a different variety of things to your customers. That was the reason I wanted to mention that. Yeah,
it's also, in my case at least, it's also why I don't just have a laser, right? Like you get a lot of people and they just have a laser. So yeah, they can do some cutting, they can make some coasters, they can do whatever, right? But if you want to do like complex projects, you need more than a laser, right? And it's quite often I'll take, like, if I'm making a cutting board, a lot of table saw work, a lot of sander work, then I put it on the CNC and cut out the shape, cut a juice groove, cut handles. Then I take it over to the laser and I engrave a logo or something in it. Sometimes people want something engraved, like it's multi-tools, right? And it is a little dissatisfying to see people who just buy a laser and think that's it.
Yeah.
Now, some of it's budget, I get it, right? Because these things are not cheap, but I think that's probably why people come more from the woodworking side, because they already have a lot of those tools, right?
Yeah, I'd agree.
They look at the CNC, it's another tool, and then they go, I'll just throw a laser in on top just to make it all complete.
Yeah,
right?
My opinion, it'd probably be easier to go from a CNC to a laser versus a laser to a CNC.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So Larry said the price of craft fairs have been around here been going from $25 to $50 to $175 to $350 a weekend, and I can agree. I've seen that even at like the VFW.
I know one of the reasons for that because of someone we were associated with here. They do a craft thing during an event. I probably shouldn't. Better not mention the event. Their biggest hurdle has been liability insurance, because whoever is putting this show on has to have liability insurance, and it is just skyrocketed in cost because America gets
interesting.
sue happy. We all know that.
Yep.
And the liability insurance is the reason that they have had to almost triple their fee per booth.
It's probably because all those people are bringing lasers now.
No, I've even seen the churches. A lot of churches have these craft fairs, and surprisingly, it's not like crafty people. Like, it's legit businesses that are setting up these booths. I
hardcore.
mean, as soon as you see their booth, they have this nice booth with the logo. I mean, you could, as soon as you see it, it's not like me with my, table I brought from the backyard for my picnics. You know what I mean? Like, they're a legit booth, and they're paying it, Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, I agree.
You can do the keynote that leads into your.
It's like one of those marketing strategies where people use it as like a master class.
Yeah.
It's the master class that leads into the course.
Clark said he forgot, and 3D printing.
I thought he had that in there. Hey, I was looking. Where'd you go with that question? Oh, here it is.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Where were you at?
I'm a couple back.
Okay. Had a laser, hated it, and just trash
can life. Yeah, and see, but in some sense, while a laser is not free for sure, it's probably the cheapest way to find out if this is the kind of thing you want to get into, right? Because if you bought a $6,000 CNC and discovered that you didn't like it, you're not going to throw that in the trash, right? So,
but I'll play devil's advocate though, and also say, you can't watch YouTube and say, "Oh, they're making all these great things," and go buy a $300 laser and be frustrated and pissed off at the world. Like, why can't I make anything? So,
I mean, you can.
Yeah.
And people do.
You know what I mean? Because we're not pumping dumpers. Like, you see these people every week. There's a new video and the new laser. Buy this. This is the greatest laser. Next week, this is the greatest laser. This is the greatest laser. And someone said it. Where's the magic button that certain people have where every laser they open, it works perfect? I know I can go to every single one of our videos, and there's things we point out that, like, this is a problem. This is how I fix it. Or I'm working with them to fix it.
In almost 4 years now that I've been doing YouTube, the only laser I've opened the box and it worked perfect or close to perfect was that Acmer P3, and it's still in my shop for that reason. It just worked.
But yeah.
Like, they all have interesting personalities, we'll say.
Jose said, "What's the difference between a diode and a CO2?"
$1,000.
Well, that what you can do with it,
or several $1,000.
Yeah. So Jose,
it could be several thousand. Yeah. Well, diode lasers are good if you want to engrave wood, slate, ceramic tile. Roger does lots of ceramic tile with his. CO2 lasers are their real playground is acrylic. It can do all the wood stuff, but unlike a diode laser, you can't engrave stainless steel unless you treat it. That's the one big bonus of a diode laser. You can throw down a table knife and you can engrave on it, which you can't do with a diode with a CO2 laser.
But the big difference too is the footprint. Right. So
they make small CO2s too, but
I'm saying, but
in general, you're going to want a bigger CO2. It looks more like the thing behind Andy there.
Right. To get a bigger footprint on a CO2, you're going to have to do this. You have to bust this bad boy out. To get a footprint on, a bigger footprint on a diode laser, that's a little more easier pill to swallow.
Yeah, and I would say I have the same opinion of CO2s that I have of CNC lasers. Is if it's not running, you're losing money. They tend to cost more, and the payback time, if they're not busy, can be a long time.
Right.
Like a diode laser, you'll pay it off pretty quick.
Right, and we have to be honest that we are being provided these machines for free, so it's not like we're saying when we're telling you, find a niche, sell these type of products, we're giving you examples. It's because we truly want to see you succeed. We're not just, throwing you an affiliate code and say, good luck.
Yeah, I will clarify that I paid for my CNC and I paid for my own CO2 lasers. So,
and I did the same. I paid for my CNC full price, and I paid for my
I thought you got the Eon for free.
I paid full price for it too.
Man, how'd you do that?
I broke out my wallet.
No. As much as promoting as you do for them, I thought they would have.
Well, I did. If you go back to my videos, I even go through the process of exactly how I went through my garage. I laid out all the pieces.
But they even gave you a tattoo. I thought that was like a lot.
No. The tattoo, I said no to the tattoo. And I did a lot of diode laser reviews in the beginning, and I pretty much turned them off. And one of the reasons was I made an agreement, and I've seen part of that change where they want to tell you, this is what you got to say, this is what you got to do. That was just unacceptable to me. And I would tell them, if I cannot say good things about this machine, I will return the machine to you, because I'll only review good machines. So all the machines that I got, they were satisfactory out of the box, except for one. And I did a thing that says, this thing's a lemon, but it didn't mention the company name. So, everybody took a slightly different attitude, but, I did well in life. I was lucky. I was able to retire. I don't have to have laser money to, to do the things that I want to do. So, and nothing makes me happier than going out in my garage and grabbing a really expensive piece of work and making something nice out of it. And having all the tools is what's really cool. The thing that I'm trying to master right now is a 3D printer. I love that thing. I mean, which is a whole nother option for somebody. If they just want to grab something and go into a catalog and, off a Thingiverse and start printing, they're ready to go.
Yeah, I keep saying that I think eventually that 3D printers are going to be like a microwave. Everyone has. Right?
I totally agree.
When microwaves first came out, when you saw someone in their house, like, you have a microwave?
I went out.
Color TV before that.
Right.
I went out and bought the Bamboo Labs Carbon X1, paid full price for it, filled it with I've only printed in one color at a time. I haven't even used most of the features that are on the machine. But what I bought it for was I really wanted to see if I could take one of my motors and make a rotary out of it. Because I just think that, looking at them, they're beautiful. I mean, if you want a Porsche, you want a Porsche. I get it. I've owned some really nice things that were pretty, but it doesn't have to be pretty to put a tumbler on it and me spend $1,000.
Right.
Just has to go around, right?
Nancy's asking.
And then there's bragging rights. People actually want to listen to you on YouTube, how you beat the system.
Nancy's asking, what's the best
all
size
that
on
So answer Nancy's question here. The P3 is, the work area is, I think, 415 by 415 millimeters. So it's a pretty typical size.
You do realize we're in the United States, right?
Well, I don't know what it is in inches. Just go to Google and type 415 millimeters 2 and it'll pop it up.
So if I wanted to buy a Bamboo, which one should I buy? And I'm talking about
Carbon.
The X1 Carbon.
Yep. And get the AMS.
The what?
The AMS, it's a unit that sits on top, holds 4 spools. You never have to worry about filament running out. If you get to the end of a spool, it'll automatically run to the next one. Already you got the same color on there. You can also do multi-colors with it.
Okay.
I have one, and of course, there's 3D printers all behind me. 2 of them are running right now. But my X1 Carbon's in a different room because it's running too. But if I had it in here, you would hear it. It's not the quietest thing in the world, but it's very, very fast. The Core XY printers are just blow away these bed slingers big time.
They make another one that's not the X1 Carbon, but it will print. It has a hardened steel tip. I want to call it the P1, but it only
P1.
Yeah, it only will print one color at a time. So if you only want to print one color, it'd probably work for you. But I've seen some dragons that came off of Thingiverse where they actually layered the colors in the dragon. It was beautiful. I wanted it for my desk. And there's all kinds of stuff you can do with it. You could take and put your logo in and printed font, and make your logo red, your name in red, and then put the rest in black. So you can do multicolor items.
Realize though that when you do multicolor, you have just as big a block of spoiled material as you have in the thing you were printing. Right?
That's true. I've done a couple of those. You get a bunch in your poop box.
Yeah. If you're going to do color, you generally want to put it on the downside.
Anyone said, how do you reduce the smoke coming off the wood? So one I was going to say is air assist. And
well, you're still going to have the same amount of smoke.
Right. Well, blow it away. And then I was going to say, too, is you always don't have to go slow, high power. Sometimes it's better to go lower power, faster, multiple passes.
Yeah, get your settings right is the first thing to do. Run a material test. You've heard us say that a million times if you've been on this channel for a while. And when you get the settings right, there's not a lot of smoke to start with. Now, it depends on the material, but after that, then it's a case of getting it exhausted.
Yeah, people are suggesting an exhaust fan.
Yeah, you need an air assist, a good air assist, and a good exhaust, and you won't have too much smoke on the material. And if you really hate smoke,
Rob said, have you used soda blasting to clean fuzzies off the inlay wood and epoxy inlay? I've been thinking about it and want to know if anyone's thoughts on it are.
Soda blasting.
Never tried it. Like sandblasting?
No.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I haven't tried it. 6-inch fan. It's a little over 200 whenever the speed is called, and it smells a little. I have a 6-inch fan as well. It's like a Hydronics for marijuana or whatever.
Yeah, my CO2 is a 6-inch fan.
Yeah,
like it's 6 inches from end to end.
Yeah. Says thanks for tricks to reduce the smoke coming out the wood. Is what I need to know. Understand the exhaust to deal with comes from. Trying to stop it before it happens, if possible.
Yeah,
it's burning.
Speed.
Oxygenating, I think.
Yeah. And then if you really have to clean it off after, you can just take some isopropyl alcohol and just rub the surface and it'll generally come off. As long as it's not like a barbecue, right? It's not charcoal.
And what I do sometimes, if it's a painted item and I just don't want the splatter, for lack of a better word, I put masking tape over it and laser through it. So when I pull it off, it's perfectly clean. Especially something I've stained white or painted white. I don't want any black residue that I have to clean off. Not that it's very labor intensive, but when you're making hundreds of something, even a couple seconds times a couple hundred adds up to a lot of time. So I can just rip off the masking tape and keep running.
Yeah, and that's the final. But masking really isn't good when you're engraving. It's good if you're cutting.
Well, it'll go right through it, right? It's only going to be on the.
Well, it will, but then you have to peel it all off. That's the problem.
You got to go back and weed it.
Yeah. I guess you have a lot.
If you're doing something like a photograph, like a photo image, you can't.
Right. It has to be like a deeper engraving, not something real fine detailed. It looks like we just hit time. I was trying to make it through the rest of these questions before we jump out. Let's see. A lot of questions here at the end. Thank you, guys. Says it lives in an apartment, so he's just trying to eliminate the smell.
Yeah. Well, when I get the AP2 and IF2 X-Tool exhaust stuff video done, look at that one, because that one is definitely a sight to behold. And they do have a big deal right now. If you wait till the 21st, the $1 deal is going to be off. So you can put your $1 down and then cancel it later if you decide you don't want one. But
nice.
If you're thinking, if you need a fume extractor, it's basically half price right now, which is still expensive because it's X-Tool. But The filters apparently last 10 times as long as those other cheap ones. So and you can change one at a time. You can just change the charcoal filter or the HEPA filter.
Apparently, soda is like a 2,000 grit sandpaper.
Yeah, yeah, it's baking soda.
Yeah. Yeah, hard enough to knock it off but not cause any damage. I like the alcohol trick and the masking tape. Thanks, guys. Yeah. V said, I got sandblasting tool. That's a good question. I know a lot of people used to sandblast back in the day with walnut.
Yeah, walnut shells. Yeah.
Yep, I do that. Take paint off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would definitely impact the surface, though.
Yeah.
Dave, if you missed our announcement earlier, our giveaway for the Nano laser is November 20th. November 20th. All right, guys, look, we're at time. Thank you. I appreciate everyone joining our live for a ton of questions. I'm sorry that the amount of questions that are now flying probably go another hour. But we're all on different time zones. Got a link for the air filter? Do you have one, Steve?
Just so I put a teaser video up for the X-Tool one yesterday. Go look at that on my channel, and the links are all in there.
There you go. Jump on that. So thank you all for joining. I appreciate it. George, thank you for joining us on our live.
Thanks for having me. I had a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, George.
Yeah.
You guys want to say anything on closeout?
No, thanks everyone for hanging out with us.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for hanging out and asking your questions, because we're more than happy to answer them.
You need to get into the habit of asking the questions earlier, though. We just there was a constant stream towards the end.
Yeah. I think everyone's kind of shooting the shit in the beginning, and the end it was just flooded.
Yeah, but we'll stop and we'll answer questions.
Yeah. So just keep in mind, guys, that we do look at these videos. So just if we didn't get to answer your questions, don't mean we won't maybe answer in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. God bless. See you on the next live.
Okay. See you all next week.
Next one. Thanks, guys.